Kay Carswell.
Hi, Daniel.
Hi, Kay. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you. And thank you for having me on. And thanks, hello to all the listeners.
All right. Hey, it was good to have you on the program. As you're well aware, we had Chad on the program not too long ago, and I see he's in one of our chats tonight.
Yeah, he's supporting me. I
Oh,
just love Chad. He's my
oh,
buddy, and I couldn't do it without him.
Chad, big shout out to Chad Riley. People in the live chat wouldn't say hello to Chad, man. That's awesome. Okay, welcome to the program. This is an easy show to do because I'm so whacked out that no matter what the guest says or whatever happens, it's okay because I have a tendency to leave a skid mark on the show. So I mean, it can be
Well, you
pretty.
kind of scared me when you started because you said Close Encounters of the Seventh Kind. And I thought, oh, I dropped the ball on this one. What's he talking about?
Okay. Now, I kind of explained myself to the audience here before the show. I said seventh kind because I figure, hey, there's probably more than three, so there could be four. But I kind of like the sound of seven, so I really just kind of made that up.
Yeah, but I don't want some of those that's in between, okay?
Well, that's where it gets gnarly, and a person get lost in, and the encounters in between three or even four and seven is some weird stuff. But we'll go through some of these tonight, Kay. And I appreciate you coming on the show. But there's a lot of talk about. And we're going to be talking about alien abduction and various things, and a lot of spiritual things tonight as well, because you know how it rolls here. But people are beginning to understand that there's maybe more to the alien situation than just say as used to be for the last 20 years. Just people call them a demon. I really don't know where you stand on that, but I'm leaning away from every alien encounter is a demon. Where do you come down on that?
Well, when I was growing up, I actually thought that the encounters were with extraterrestrials. And now that I'm older, I've leaned more to the demonic. But I had a very good conversation with Darren Geisinger, and he's from Gen 6 Productions, and we talked about this. And he said, why do they have to be spiritual? And it hit me, why can't it be both? They can be spiritual, but they could also be extraterrestrial.
Mm-hmm.
We could be dealing with both.
Well, this universe is certainly large enough to handle both, and so there would be, I guess you would say, the spiritual type. Now, would we categorize aliens in the spiritual category as demons or fallen angels? Should we make a distinction between that?
I don't believe they're benevolent, so yes, I would put them in those categories.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing good about them.
Mm-hmm. I had a lady on the program one time. Her name was Nancy, and she was from Zeta Talk. Have you ever heard of her? Nancy
She's not
Guider?
the one that had a relationship, is she, with the demons?
Well, I don't know, but there's some woman's getting banged by. She says, or she had like, I don't know, all kind of encounters with an alien. I saw that come up, and I mean, there is a lady, and maybe we need to look that up. Somebody look it up real quick and put it in the chat. Isn't there a lady that is planning on marrying? Wait a minute, is that demon or alien is raping her or having sex with her? I can't remember.
There was one that I remember that it was
It's a
demons,
ghost.
and
Okay.
the other women, yes, and then another one, hers was with extraterrestrial beings, and she actually said she got pregnant,
Mm-hmm.
that this being would show up, and she fell in love with him, and I mean, it was really out there. That's been a few years ago that happened,
Mm-hmm.
but it
Mm-hmm.
was really just left me shaking my head.
Pretty bizarre there, but the demonic side of it. You say that they're not malevolent. And the reason I brought up Nancy Leiter of Zeta Talk. I was talking to her, and this is one of the. I was speechless. I don't get speechless much because I'm a gabber. But I was talking to her, and all of a sudden she goes, "This is a Zeta. I would like to talk to Daniel." I said, "Well." It was her. It was. I was still talking to Nancy, and she said, "Well, the Zeta evidently had taken over her and started talking to me." But I've never seen where the so-called alien, if it is an actual alien, has really helped mankind much. How do they explain that?
Well, I can tell you of a few instances where they have.
Really? Oh,
I've
how so? Oh, sure.
Okay. When we had Chernobyl take place, Fukushima, all these different places that, I mean, it has been massive events for crisis. The UFOs have been seen, and they believe that they kept like Chernobyl from totally exploding,
Hmm.
that they have done good. But there's a race of them, and I'm trying to think of who it is. I believe it's the Andromedans, that they're supposed to be benevolent. I'm not sure.
Hmm.
But as far as the UFOs, I think they're looking out more for the Earth than what they're looking out for us.
Hmm.
So they're not going to do much to help us, but they
Hmm.
might do something to protect the Earth, like the Chernobyl and Fukushima.
Hmm. Um, and then there's one event where the aliens evidently flew over a military base and disabled the nukes in that base. And so some people would claim, well, there is aliens stopping us from blowing each other up. But I got to tell you, Kay, humans are very good about blowing each other up and don't necessarily need nukes. So in that case, would we interpret the alien non interference in at that part is they don't mind if we're blowing each other up with tanks um, uh, missiles or anything else that's sort of lower grade than nuclear.
That's right. Because see, that shows again they're looking out for the Earth.
Hmm. So you're saying in that case, these low grade weapons, these low impact weapons, don't lead to a nuclear winter, which would kill most of life on Earth and the plants. But in that case, are they doing that? Then would you think they're doing that for humans to keep us alive, or because they have designs on the planet and they don't want it messed up until they can get it?
Well, Phil Schneider, I'm sure you're familiar with
Mm-hmm.
him, had spoken on this, and he had said that their agenda was basically to get rid of us, wipe us out, and groom the earth for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
The explosion or the attack that you're talking about on those it was 10 nuclear bombs in silos that they had wiped out. Or yeah, and but they protect the earth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the reason because they have designs on it. Phil Schneider, there's an excellent documentary, well, more than one of his on YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
and he talks in great detail about that.
Yeah. Did somebody kill Phil Schneider?
I believe so.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he wasn't afraid of anything. He was releasing information as of 1995, and in 1996 he was killed. There were others with him.
Mm-hmm.
His one buddy, he was also killed. They try to make it look like a suicide, and he mentioned that they try to make it look like suicides, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
One documentary, he was shot 2 weeks before he made the documentary. And that year alone, he'd had 13 attempts on his life. The man was just a plethora of information.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it seemed way out in left field,
Mm-hmm.
but I think if you sit down and put it all in context and look at it, you just have to look at it with an open mind.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that we'll have full disclosure anytime soon?
I don't think so in our lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
It would sink the government.
Mm. Suicide seems to be a pretty fun way for the deep state to off people. And I know in particular there's one person that was on Alex Jones, and I think it was around the 9/11 time, and he asked her 3 times. He said to her, "Are you going to commit suicide?" She said, "No," 3 times, and there's no, why would I? And then I think it was a week later she committed suicide. So it does seem to be, that kind of a method of choice to get rid of people. There's been a couple high profile people that have asphyxiated themselves. There's the Anthony Scalia. What somehow
No, yeah.
he put a pillow on his own head. I mean, and you're thinking, really? Now that leads me to this question, okay? With all these people sort of mysteriously dying off that seem to be in the way of the deep state New World Order progress, what is keeping Donald Trump so safe?
I think that God has a plan and is actually protecting him. Um, he's got a lot of people that hate him, and it could be that, or it could just be, wow. I've wondered the same thing, but I think it all boils down to God's got a plan for him.
I told one of our previous guests, I think it was Carl Gallups. I spoke with a Secret Service agent. And I asked him. I said, "Does Donald Trump wear a bulletproof vest when he goes to these rallies?" And he said, "No." I said, "What?" And he said he only wears them when he goes out of the country. And I thought, well, wow, there is some faith involved there. I would have to say that there may be some divine purpose going on here. But there have been other presidents that have either seen UFOs or they know about them, or in some cases went to meet them. But we've never really got any additional information from the government, no matter who is the president. Is it
It's true.
more likely or less likely that in this administration we'll get the actual governmental knowledge of the alien situation?
I think we're going to get a little bit more, just not full. And I mean, Trump, people either love him or they hate him. And are you aware that Trump is related to Hillary Clinton?
Well, that's something. It seemed like somebody during the Obama administration made a connection to all of the previous presidents seem to be related. What is going on with that?
He is a cousin, a distant cousin, and that was discovered. And it's really strange because apparently, when they're not on camera, he and Hillary can talk. But as far as the public is aware, they're bitter enemies. But then you look at Hillary and you look at the death trail, the people that said that they would not commit suicide. And then you look at that death trail between her and Clinton. Who knows? Maybe they have someone too that is looking out for Trump. And it's just all covert.
Well, that is something. The body count for the Clintons seems to continue. But I have also heard a lot of internet talk that I think even back in Clinton days, he was going to be the last president or the last pope was going to be the last pope. And so I kind of steer away from that sort of connections or the mathematical equations that people come up with to make certain statements. I've had plenty of them on this program over the years that who have said they've got the mathematical equation for either, Planet X or, Nazis from underneath the earth or the beast or everything, So as far as Trump being related or not, I can't see it. But I tell you what, though, if they are, and in public they shake hands, but in private they shake hands, in public they don't. But at least he's having a good time. But I do know he doesn't have to say lock her up. All he's got to do is mention her name.
Good point. That's it.
Now, really, too, for those that say that the Republicans or whatever, or Trump is leading to violence in this country, I don't know how much violence lock her up or there's no blue wave or crying Chuck Schumer or little Marco. I don't know how much violence there is in that, but I do know how much violence there is in when somebody says chase him out of restaurants, shoot him in the knee, no civility until we get back in power. Steve Scalise just, it took a long time to get that Democrat bullet out of his back. So, as far as the violence talk, that, making fun of somebody or saying some quips like that is not violent talk, but ordering people to commit violence. No justice, no peace, and police are pigs. These are, and I'm going on for a little bit here because look, it's bad. You got somebody out there walking around with a head of Trump. It looks like a head of Trump. Kathy Griffin's walking around. There was a play of Julius Caesar where they stabbed a Trump figure. There's a rap album with a Trump figure in a morgue. These people are violent, and I'm going to connect them to the aliens because it seems to me. I don't know how I'm going to do it. Here I go. Let's see. So these people are intrinsically evil. Now they do want to do hideous experiments on fetuses and such. So we could make that connection. But I'm just wondering now, on the other hand, of all the pro-alien people I've had on the program, they when they describe it, the alien intent, it looks like a democratic platform for re-election. So I don't know if you know what I'm talking. Like they want peace, they want food for everybody, they want free health care, they want free education, no borders. They always seem to ascribe the Democrats with the alien intent.
How did they learn to speak alien?
Well, that's just it. How do you? Well, all you got to do is listen to them for a minute, and you'll see how they can speak alien because it doesn't make any kind of damn sense. But we're talking about aliens, and there are those that have been abducted, and in the beginning of sort of the early years of alien activity and abduction, again, the inclination for people that were in the alien field was that it was really aliens, but people in the religious field would always say it's a demon, an incubus or a succubus or nightmares or the devil coming to them. So there's been that sort of quid pro quo between the two sides. Now, when I went to the Gen 6 conference, and Chad Riley knows about this, they actually were merging sort of this a little bit of the secular field, some common sense voices from the secular field with the common sense voices of the Christian field, and I thought that was an amazing achievement.
It is, and that's what Darren Geisinger, when we spoke, pretty much broke it down to me like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, when we're fighting the alien horde, Carswell, we kind of need to be in this together.
Amen.
We got people like George Soros that and Democrats always pitting one group against another, and that's why we really can't get anything solved in this country. But people create those situations. I don't think people are necessarily evil, but they're goaded into it, and they're baited into it, and they're bribed into it, and then these two camps are always warring together. The deep state are just capitalizing on that and enriching themselves with unimaginable wealth. But then when it came to Trump, well, he already had the unimaginable wealth, and their little Jedi mind trick didn't work on him.
He didn't have anything to lose. He could go in it and just do whatever he wanted, and basically about everyone I know has a price, and that I've heard about in the public eye, and basically you can just hand someone some money and buy them off. There is nothing that will stop Clinton, or I'm sorry, wow, that's bad, will stop Trump, because he has the finances. He can buy anyone and anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they'll bribe little tricks aren't working on that, and that's why I was thinking that if they didn't want the alien disclosure through the previous administrations, that's what they've got, and so they're the part of their, who knows, and maybe they negotiate, say we'll put you in power, but you don't talk about the aliens. We're not letting that information out. Again, that might be, go to your point earlier, that we may have a better chance under Trump because he has, if there's a line he's crossed it, if there's a boundary and I'm talking about their line that they've created for us to supposedly be behind, and we're not allowed to as free human beings, free-willed people, to cross over. They've always kept us sort of sequestered in their plantation. But he sees that line, he steps on it, and so that might be our best chance to really get to the truth of this subject.
All people have to do is say, "I dare you," to him. He'll take the dare every time. And I think, honestly, if our administration could get together with the United Kingdom, because the United Kingdom also has a huge wealth of UFO knowledge. And I think between the two, if the two would come together, we could get a clear picture.
Now, isn't it true that that Europe is and other countries really are more free in releasing their information?
They are. They've released a lot more than what the United States. The United States just gives it out in trickles.
Hmm.
And England, they will freely give out more. I haven't done a lot of research into what they have released, but what I have read, it's amazing.
Hmm.
Absolutely amazing. They have helped people, they've hurt people.
Uh, the Bible says that in the end times there's going to be, in the book of Revelation, it talks about locusts coming up from the bowels of the earth, and I'm just wondering if that's just describing an alien horde that already resides in the center of the earth. Would you follow me down that rabbit hole, or do you think it's a little bit weird?
Anything's possible. I put no limitations on what God can do.
Hmm.
And the insectoids that you said that were going to be brought up,
Hmm.
they're they they're pretty bad. They're insects.
Hmm.
Um, it's hard to tell.
Hmm. And that is crazy. There are, I don't know, the numbers vary, but for the average, what I hear is there's like 75 species, and it's sort of the insectoids. It seemed like there was maybe a Star Wars or something that actually had an insectoid type of alien on the program in the show. But now I've been trying to determine, Kay, are the grays nice and the reptilians the one that want to eat you? And then do the insectoids, are they smarter than both? Do they manage those two species? Who's running the show here? Who's the head alien species creature?
I believe it's the insectoid because the insectoids, when those are reported with the contact, they're the doctors. They're the ones that are doing the medical procedures.
Ooh,
So the grays and I'm sorry, what were the other ones that you
the
mentioned?
grays and the reptilians.
The grays and the reptilians, I believe they just follow the instructions and they're not friendly.
Hmm. Um,
Yes, I said that.
oh, you you weren't supposed to see that. No, you did say that. No, that's good. No, the insectoids. Now they also seem to have smaller heads than the grays, though. So I'm wondering, have their brains?
Yes.
Are their brains more? And does the alien even have a brain? I guess you got to start there.
I would think so. Well, there's got to be something in them that controls what they do
Hmm.
and their thinking mechanism. But when you look at a dinosaur,
Hmm.
their brain was only as big as a walnut. So
Yeah.
really the size of the head, it doesn't matter. It's
Hmm.
just the size of the
Hmm.
brain that
Hmm.
does
Yeah.
and what they use of it.
I live on a lake, and there's a slight hill that goes down to the lake, and so you come out in the backyard and you look over there, and then as you're looking, all of a sudden you see these duck heads pop up because they're like, huh? They're looking around. I'm wondering, well, how much brain they got? Kind of a little bitty brain. But now that you're talking about dinosaurs running around, I guess that they could be thinking a whole lot like, what's up, man?
Hmm.
So I've got to give them a little bit more credit now because I thought they were brainless, but they could be smarter than me because that wouldn't take much anyway. Hey, Doug White out of our live chat asked this question here. Why is it that they always seem to want gold and entrails?
Now the gold, I'm not sure of unless it would help them to build their crafts
Hmm.
maybe, or I'm not sure. I'm going to be honest on that.
Hmm.
But the entrails, now this is going back again to Phil Schneider. Um, there have been the cattle that have been mutilated and the entrails have been taken out, and that is something that Phil Schneider talked about too. That is something that is taken and they feed on it.
Hmm.
He also associated that with as many people that come up missing per year that just vanish.
Hmm.
He believed that they were being taken also for food,
Hmm.
and it has to do with the entrails.
Seemed like either when I had Nick Redfern, or I can't remember another guy we had on the program. We was talking about that, and this guest told me directly that he was on a ship, and he saw these like 10 by 10 crates full of entrails and body parts where they were feeding the aliens, and they take them out to sea and they dump the residue there. And I'm thinking, I've heard that more than once. There seems to be eyewitness to the fact that that's what they sort of feed on. And I'm wondering, is that all the missing children, is that one of their favorite meals, or is that it doesn't matter to them?
Probably it's one of their favorites. And he was right. Where do they go? I mean, if you're going to eat a steak, do you want it to be nice and tender, this sounds horrible. Please forgive me, people.
Hang on for a
Um,
second. I got my finger on the button. Go.
Thank you. Um, or have it from some old tough old person. It's a steak. Which one would a person prefer? A
Mm.
young cow or an old cow?
Mm, the tender meat. Now, to some that would say that's bizarre and ridiculous. But you know what I've learned by 2018 now, that the most bizarre, ridiculous thing you can imagine is probably 10 times worse than that. And the only reason is because decent, honest people just have been so slow into realizing the evil that has been residing and operating on this earth, right in our neighborhoods, right in our government, right in our churches. Oh, did I say churches? Right in the global governance. It is there, and it's nasty. And there have been so many child abduction stories out there now, and so many Pizzagate things going on, which some say, well, that was a fraud, but there's enough out there to say, the one woman in Hollywood that was grooming children, and various ones have come up. There seems to be a penchant for the evil part of man, or the possessed part of man, to go after the kids.
It is, and it's well documented, and it's in the Bible that the power is in the blood.
Mm-hmm. The life is in
And
the blood
that
too.
is what makes it so important for them to get. They're going to leave the skin, but they're going to go for anything that's going to be saturated with the blood.
Mm-hmm.
And if we take a look at Hollywood, War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise,
Mm-hmm.
and they would get the people up there, and then they would spray, it looked like the earth, with what was left of the blood.
Yeah.
So we kind of get little glimpses into what the government does know by what we see in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all in the blood. The power is in the blood. That goes for satanic rituals.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe it also goes for anything that has to do with aliens.
Mm-hmm. Now that's interesting about the aliens. Now in the movie Alien versus Predator, that shows or depicts a time in early Earth history when it looks like the Mayans or the Aztecs were worshiping these aliens. They show glimpses. They show like a backward video, of history. They just bring it, like somebody's remembering it, whatever. And then it shows the aliens coming down, and then of course there's all the death and stuff. And I'm just wondering if when the conquistadors got over here, and they saw the Aztecs and the Mayans and Mexico, and Flame might help me on that if you watch the program, but they would want to rip the heart out of a person. And then, of course, it's well documented that many battling tribes and civilizations would try to eat the other, even the Egyptians would try to eat their enemies to gain their strength, or their animal strength, or whatever. So I'm just wondering if they got that whole idea from the aliens.
It's a strong possibility because the Native American tribes, when they would kill, they would eat the heart
Mm-hmm.
just to receive that power.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they could have. I believe there is so much that has went on here. Um, we have our Bible now, and it tells us of the events from Adam and Eve, or just before Adam and Eve up to now. But I believe there is so much more that happened
Mm-hmm.
before that it
Mm-hmm.
isn't written.
Mm-hmm.
What we have tells us what we need to know for our time. But
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to tell. That's very
Mm-hmm.
possible
Mm-hmm.
that they could have learned it from um, an alien intelligence.
The Bible says that God, the prophet told, or I guess God told Daniel, said, seal up the things in the book to the time of the end. And I've often wondered what things were sealed up, and what things would be revealed? Do you think that any, or do you think that the whole idea of the alien phenomena is sort of, it may have been depicted in the Bible, but under their description of it, and it never made sense to any previous generation, but now our generation with our, everybody's got a cell phone, everybody's taking pictures and videos of these aliens, and more people are communicating with each other that have been affected by the alien presence. So it almost seems that has opened up. I'm wondering if that is part of the sealed part of the Bible.
It very well could be. It is something that, on researching, it depends who you read. A lot of people state that when the aliens are discussed in the Bible, it is talking only about spiritual demonic aliens.
Mm-hmm.
But lately, there have been more that are saying that it has to do with the extraterrestrials. And it's quite possible that that could be part of the information that we're going to learn towards the end. In our end times.
Mm-hmm.
But it will only be revealed. I have no way of knowing that until God would do it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very, very likely because, he said that we're going to be called and to go here or there, and it won't be him.
Mm-hmm.
And some of these are shapeshifters.
Well, that's really interesting, Kay, because there are those that, and I think there's a book called "They Walk Among Us," which
Yes.
There's a belief that they are here, and I've asked other guests. And I want to ask you about that. I don't know. Do you think that we, as spiritual beings, have been equipped to detect or see the difference, or feel, or intuitively acknowledge that the person that's in the same room as us, or walking down the street on the sidewalk, and we pass them by, that we feel something? Is that perhaps something that was designed into us that we could know? I mean, people say, well, I had a bad feeling about this person or whatever. Maybe it's the fact that they're a shape-shifting reptilian or insectoid, and they're here to eat us.
I believe that we can. It's the gift of discernment. There have been people that I have came into contact that seemed strange, and not strange as a strange human being, but there just something wasn't right about them. And if they are shapeshifters and they're here, sometimes you can see it in their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Their eyes will take on a different look. Their skin will look different. There are just different things. And their voice can sound different.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like it's put through a computer. I don't know how to describe it, but I do believe that God gives us that discernment to know when there are people are around us that aren't real people.
Mm-hmm. All right, for those of you just joining us on our Newsmaker line tonight is Kay Carswell of Deception Detection Radio. Kay, at this point here, we take about a 5-minute break. We just leave you on the line. We turn you down. Where can people listen to your program?
They can hear us on Spreaker.com, YouTube, iTunes, iHeart, and anywhere that you can pick up a podcast, we're heard. We're heard all around the world, and we're getting more and more listeners every day. So, and we have those other shows for you to hear the broadcast. Check us out, and you'll see all of them listed under the Spreaker.com or the YouTube to get you started.
Okay. All right, just stay on the line. You can turn it down over there if you can, or otherwise we'll turn it down here. We'll see you in about 5 minutes.
Okay. Thanks, Daniel.
All right, everybody. You're watching and/or listening to the Edge television broadcast. On our Newsmaker line is Kay Carswell of Deception Detection Radio. We're gonna take a 5-minute break. We'll be right back. But I'll tell you what. Why don't we go back to our Newsmaker line and welcome back Kay Carswell. Kay, welcome back.
Thank you, Daniel.
Well, the aliens are sort of a stealthy bunch. They don't really tip their hand as their true agenda. And it's interesting. I was making a comparison, however sarcastic, in my ranting points of the Democrats and there's audio out there just surfaced of the Florida gubernatorial race, Andrew Gillum, who his staff was saying we're going to trick people until we get elected, and they were saying that the biggest lie that they're doing is after I get elected, and they were on tape saying that they have opposite agenda of what they say. So it seems that the aliens have sort of an opposite agenda too as well. I don't see them as benevolent creatures. I see them as having an agenda that they, and if you watch any uh, um, Twilight Zone episodes, that if there's something that seems to be too good, then there's probably some hell to pay back. And I'm thinking about the particular one called "To Serve Man," where they came down and they solved hunger, they cured cancer, and then they invited people to go to their world. But they went there to eat the humans. Now here we are back in the '60s. And they have a program where the aliens intend to eat the humans. This is not nutcase stuff. It is, in fact, probably more true than people would ever believe.
Rod Serling was a genius. He saw into the future, and I believe it. I believe they have an agenda. They will try to do things that make you think that they're good, but they're not. One of my favorite stories is Betty and Barney Hill.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they gave her a book in Goodwill, and before she got off of the craft, I mean, she wanted to tell people what happened, so she wanted a souvenir, and they took it back from her. To me, that wasn't nice. That was kind of mean for everything that they put them through, and then they took back what would have been a gift. But yeah, to serve man, that doesn't surprise me. Man is only looking out for themselves, not for their brothers. That's in the Gollum case. They don't care what happens to people, just so they get their own uh, ends met.
You're right. Their own ends met. And here we have Obama was in Detroit, and I'm thinking that city is a basket case, has been forever. And well, actually, just as long as the Democrats been running. Same thing with Chicago, record amount of murders. And I'm thinking, well, there's some gall there for him to show up and rattle off ridiculous stuff about the opposition when he's standing in a place where the city's been ruined by their policies. And so it just seems that there's some gall, unmitigated gall involved with that. And I would think that the alien agenda sort of has duped some people. And there are those that wish aliens would come down and run things. In fact, I just saw a headline the other day, Kay. I don't know if you I know you read the news extensively too as well, but it said something to the effect that that is God dead and the new God is AI, which is, I thought, wow, that's right out of the Gen 6 conference that we had talking about AI. It's coming. And Kay, I'll give you a little bit, and you may have heard it or read it, or you may have heard me say it, but the computer, the quantum wave, the D-wave quantum computer actually has a heartbeat. And they say it has a heartbeat, thump, thump, thump. And then the guy that created it said, when you stand next to it, it's like standing at the altar of an alien god. And then here's this out of the left field, out of another part of the country, somebody saying that AI will be the new god. I have a feeling that the alien horde out there is somehow going to access our digital infrastructure and have a presence within that structure. What do you think about that?
I think they've already done it. They're far more intelligent than what we are. They've been around a lot longer than we are. There is no way that we can travel through portals or even interdimensionally. Um, they've heard what was on that recording sent to outer space. They've already infiltrated. Do you remember reading or seeing about over in the UK about that space entity that interrupted the television? And I forget how many minutes it was, but it said that people, what they needed to do, because they were going to destroy mankind, they needed to look after each other. And I wish I had written down the details for that. But if they can infiltrate the television, they can infiltrate anything.
Well, that is true, and I think you're right about the technology. What we know or have been allowed to see, it probably the outer portion of it, and I think the inner portion of it is probably so unimaginably advanced that our brains couldn't even conceive of that ability. But let me ask: we were talking about in the first hour, Kay Carswell of Deception Detection Radio Network, about well, basically movies. We talk about War of the Worlds, and I mentioned just now is about to serve man. Is there a legal part to this that whoever the other side is, whether it's aliens, devils, whoever the hell it is, that they have to, by some legal terminology, tell humans what they're going to do?
You mean the government tells us what they're going to do?
No, I'm going to try to reframe that question. No, not the government. We could use words like the deep state, but I'm using more of an extraterrestrial type of thing, perhaps maybe on the taking over the world type of situation. That, for instance, like 9/11, there are those that there were warnings before. There was a CD cover that had a picture of somebody blowing up the Twin Towers. I think there was a Simpsons episode. Is there a legal framework, a celestial legal framework that requires that the humans be informed of their intent so that they can go to, say, maybe the throne of God and say, we told them, and they accepted that willingly. They weren't tricked into it. They were told that. We showed them what our plans were. Do you think there is that law out there?
I don't think so. Because a lot of things people would not agree to. Number one would have been the 9/11. And by the way, there is film footage of a UFO hovering around when the towers went down. But no, I don't think there is. I think that they're just going to sit back and watch and then intervene when they see that it's necessary. Um,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
they don't live here. Yes, they want the Earth, so they're going to look out for it, but they're not going to warn us.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. Okay, let's get to a couple questions. This is from Raul out of YouTube. Has the military been in battles with aliens before?
Battle of LA.
Yeah. Touche. Yeah.
There has been a movie made about that. Don't watch the movie and expect to be told the truth, because it's not. It's the Battle of LA was an event. It happened in the middle of the night, and I'm trying to think of the year. I've even got that wrote down, but it happened in, and I can't find it. Well, the
It was
Battle of
47, I
LA,
think.
anyway. I'm sorry.
It was during World War II, wasn't it?
Right.
47.
And people saw something they thought coming in off the water, but others, they just appeared and they started hearing bombing, and the government pulled out all their tanks and was firing at them. There were 6 people killed. 3 of them died from heart attacks, and 3 of them died from friendly fire.
Yeah, that was 1942.
That's it. Thank you, Daniel. I told Chad sometimes I get
No,
so
thank-
much information
no,
in my
thank-
head
thank
I
Google.
can't think. But yeah, and they fought with them. But the strange thing is, with the Battle of LA, no matter how many rounds that our military fired, and I mean it was thousands, they didn't hit anything. It was like there was a shield around those spaceships, and nothing could touch them. And the battle went on, I believe, for 4 hours. And they still have a celebration of, well, remembrance out there for the Battle of LA. And if I remember correctly, there's still just one survivor left that saw that take place. But they do have a festival every year during that time. But yeah, we did have a battle with them.
Well, I'll tell you what. We, if we had another battle with them, who do you think would win that?
Oh, I think they would. I think they would have won that night if they would have been firing,
Hmm.
um, and wanted to. I think they just wanted to make their presence known.
And when I was mentioning the sort of the almost like a non-interference pact, like in a Star Trekish way that of letting humans know. I didn't say that they have to let humans know so they would agree with what their sinister plan was. Just that they had the obligation to inform humans, and what they did with it would be their type of defense in that situation there. All right, let's go to another question for you, Kay. This one here is from Hermit. Out of the YouTube chat. It says, "What does the blood of infants and the indulgence of the Bible mean in light of?" I'm gonna mispronounce this. Metzispa Bithpa. I don't know. Is that a Jewish term, or I don't even know. Probably not even saying that right. So.
I I don't know what that means either. Can you
Metzispa.
specify a little bit for me,
Yeah, we need more.
Hermetic?
We need more than that. It looks like it's Metzibaph. I have no idea. I'm not Jewish, so I wouldn't know. Wait a minute. This is. I guess it's a circumcision that ends in oral suction from an adult. Okay, seemed like I've seen some.
Oh,
Seemed like I've seen a video of something to that effect. But first of all, I thought it was a Catholic priest. But I think it was
yes.
some Jewish ceremony where I mean, it's
Isn't that
pretty
called a
gross.
bris? I think
Who?
a bris. I could be wrong on that, but I I don't know. I that is something that I've got to be honest on that. When I started reading about it, it turns my stomach,
Hmm.
and I think it's an excuse for pedophilia. Um,
Yeah.
that's the one thing with deception detection. I don't skirt around anything, and I just think it's an excuse for pedophilia.
Hmm. And well, we can go down that road a little bit because I know that is near and dear to Bear. Have you ever watched this program? We have a Bear report, and he did a Bear report one time on them going after the kids, and he said, "Who's going to cry for the children?" And in this country here, well, they're all talking about the children in the caravan. Oh, we got to take care of, however many it's called squat and drop. They get over the border, squat and drop one, and all of a sudden we got to pay for them for the rest of their life. But, so they had this feigned love for the kids, these kids that are from another country. And I don't know how many they're going to make, but they're going to make dozens when they get here. Um, but when it comes to kids, though, there are now grade schools where a transvestite comes in, has a transvestite hour, and then there's other schools that refuse to let kids identify boy or girl, and others they have them changing gender roles, or and in one school they had the little kids. They had the little boys write love letters to other little boys. I mean, this doesn't sound like they're all about the kids. It sounds like they're after the kids and they're trying to program the kids and turn them into freaks so they'll vote Democrat and keep it going.
It has nothing at all with doing what's right. It's another perverse, it's a perversion. It's a way of taking the Bible and knocking it down every chance that they can. We're born one man, one woman. That's how we're supposed to be married.
Mm-hmm.
Our children, we're supposed to raise our children in the word of the Lord so that as they grow older, they'll return back to it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're stripping all of that away, and the children are just being raised. How does a child, I mean, let's say a child is 2 and 3 years old, which I've seen that as young as that, know their sexuality.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They don't unless they're
No.
told.
No, they're trying to get those kids, okay, because they want to
Yeah.
rape them, man. Let's just get to it. And there is and I don't know what the woman's name is. She's an actress, and she released some kind of photo of herself. I think she's naked, but she's covered with blood, and she got a butchered baby in her lap, and she's somebody's daughter. But she's an actress of some kind, and she's basically saying,
I,
"Huh? Did you hear me?"
yes, I hear you. I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay. I thought I heard something in the background. Anyway, in this photograph, I think the caption or something to that effect says, if you can't have your abortion, then wait till it's outside and then kill it. I mean, and
I
this,
saw that.
uh,
Actually, she's got the head ripped off of it.
yeah, and what's that woman's name? Do you know?
I don't
Does
know.
anybody know who we're
I
talking about? Because I want to name her right now on this show. But anyway, that's the sickest, most perverse, disgusting crap I have ever seen. And these people on the left put that out there and act as if that's normal. These people need to go to a freaking insane asylum and administer some kind of psychotropic drug to keep them medicated so they don't ever communicate with humankind at all. And the name comes up, Amy Schumer.
That's it.
Is she the
That's
one that
it.
is she the one that said she put rocks in her little sister's uh well, in deference to UK, I don't know. It is
I know
her.
what you're. I think people can gather what you're going to
Yeah.
say.
Okay. Well,
Um,
yeah. Was that?
I'm not
No, that
sure.
wasn't
I
her.
hadn't
Okay.
heard that.
Okay. I was just told that's not hers. This is another freak from Hollywood. But for this to be put out there like that, it shows the depth of depravity that this country has gotten to. And that's the one question I have, Kay, is like having Donald Trump is almost like he said today something that I've watched all of his rallies, and today he went to somewhere I've never heard him go, but he's saying that what's going on in this country is pure evil. And he used the word evil, not just as a descriptive to the other side of doing it. But with pictures like that going out there, it just tells me that I wonder how this country got a little reprieve, because these people would have been in power, and that woman there with that baby thing, she would have been running the Department of Health.
Oh yeah, she would have been heading Planned Parenthood. Um, he's right. It's evil. It's totally evil. And I have to bring up, Daniel, that them getting to where the country, getting the transgender movement going and making sure that boys are attracted to little boys and girls to girls. One thing that is doing, we have the agenda where, what was it used to be called Agenda 21, but I
Mm-hmm.
think it's called Agenda 30 now. But our
Oh, added some.
population is supposed to be reduced.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you have the same sexes being attracted to each other, marrying, you can't reproduce between boy and girl and a girl. So naturally, the population will start to drop the more people that become involved in that
Mm-hmm.
movement and live in that lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Um, it is disgusting, and it's a lifestyle they're trying to perpetrate. I think New York just passed a law where now there is an option on the birth certificate to put X instead of male or female. So, and I know there's other people that have expressed the fact that there's only two genders, and they have been fired from their jobs or their teaching assignments. We have this question from Raul. He says, "Have you ever heard of the airplane alien abduction?"
I don't know of any specific aircraft or airplanes. I know that there was one that disappeared, over Indonesia, that it was alluded to that maybe they were taken by aliens.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there was a movie that came out years ago called Millennium,
Mm-hmm.
and that was an
And we
aircraft that was taken, an airplane by aliens, ran by aliens. I mean, it is
Mm-hmm.
a great movie. You get a chance, watch it.
Yeah, William.
But that would answer. I believe that that's highly possible.
Mm-hmm. And in the abduction realm, I don't know, and from my sources, I can't tell if abductions are increasing or not. And a lot of the abduction cases seem to be a little bit dated now. Are you familiar with any intelligence on that? Have you been receiving information in your sphere of research that alien abductions are increasing, decreasing, or remain about the same?
Well, I've heard that it's about the same, and it's only because our knowledge has increased, our way of sharing information has sped up, so that when things happen, we're hearing it. Back then, through the years, there's a lot of them we never heard about.
Mm-hmm.
And now, since are at the information age, we hear about what's happening now. So
Mm-hmm.
I believe they're pretty much the same, um, which that means there's a lot of them.
Yeah. And I've heard the numbers in the millions have been bantered about. Is that the number you're getting?
Yeah, it's way up there. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, It's in every state,
Hmm.
multiple places. I live in Fort Wayne, Indiana,
Hmm.
and this is a hub for paranormal activity.
Oh, is it a geographical history of something major took place there?
There are a lot of, we have a lot of pyramids. We have a lot of different things here in Indiana,
Hmm.
but we do have government facilities. Um, and I'm not sure if that has anything to do with it,
Hmm.
but on any given day or night, I mean, there was a time that me and my oldest boy would sit out on our balcony and look up, and at 8 o'clock every single night, this thing would appear in the sky, bright, shiny, move a little bit. Next thing you know, you see it shoot across the sky.
Whoa.
And then it would blink for a couple times, and then it would zip up and it was gone. And it would be about the same time every night. We've heard the hum here that I'm sure you're aware of.
Yeah. Does it
Um,
seem like it's coming from under the earth?
it does. I remember the first time I got woke up with it. It actually sounded like a farm thrashing machine. If you've ever been on a farm and
Hmm.
heard the thrasher,
Hmm.
and it made me mad because it kept waking me up. It was in the middle of the night, and I couldn't figure out what it was. And then I asked the neighbor the next day. I thought, well, maybe it was an earthquake. She's, oh no, they're saying on the news that it was a storm that passed through.
Mm.
It was no storm,
Oh,
and
the
you can feel the ground vibrating.
hmm. Hmm. Well, I I went to my wife and I went to my wife Susan and I went to Anderson to the Anderson Mounds, and they got these little plaques around there. It says that the Indians built them, and I was thinking when I got there, we got there. I said, no, they didn't. There's something else going on here. They always give you this line of like how the pyramids were built. It just basically just some slaves, lots of them, and over a period of time, and they give these so simplistic answers. And the same thing with Earth history. You mentioned that in the first hour about you think there's a whole lot more that's gone on here, and that's one of the things about Gen 6, Skywatch TV, and others, and yourself, this program is that there's mounting evidence that the Earth history goes way back, and that begs this question, and it gets everybody into trouble. How do we square, say, for those that have a belief the Earth is only 6,000 years old, for the evidence, it appears that there were ancient civilizations goes back tens of thousands of years.
I think we have to reconcile the dating system. Even the tens of thousands of years, it still may not be that old. Um, but I believe that it's older than 6,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to reconcile that the dating methods that are used may not be that accurate.
Mm-hmm.
There could be different things. We had Stan Dale on with us,
Mm-hmm.
and a wonderful, wonderful man, very intelligent. And he talked about how the different things from the weather, the position of the sun, different things can affect how the age of the earth can be detected. It may appear older or not as old depending on the outer stimuli or
Mm-hmm.
whatever affected it.
Mm-hmm. There are clearly alien drawings in some of the petroglyphs, some of the caves dating back thousands of years. Uh, how does the secular community describe those? Do they accept those as alien depictions, or do they say they're just cave people that didn't know, you know, they were just imagining things and drew imaginary pictures?
I believe that it's an outer influence myself.
Mm-hmm.
I can't speak for other people, but as far as over in Egypt, the Anunnaki, the pharaohs, where you look at the pyramids and you see these huge um, statues by the doors,
Mm-hmm.
and you just have to know that there is more to all of this than what we know.
Mm-hmm. Now,
I believe there were aliens back during those times.
now, how do we know that the heads on Easter Island weren't the actual size of the creatures that roam?
I believe it may have been. I truly believe in the Nephilim.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in the giants. I believe that they're one of them that had the impact on the pyramids. I
Hmm.
don't believe those were built by people our size.
Uh, by the way, did you say Anunnaki?
Yes, I
Because
did.
I've been getting that wrong. I must have been getting that wrong all these years. I've been saying Anunnaki, but you say
Well,
Anunnaki.
well, that
I like it
hey, I'm
better,
from
really.
Ohio.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm all about the Anunnaki. Um,
Anunnaki, just however anybody, you know,
I mean, it's
that's
very
just
important.
my
Okay. Okay.
speech.
That's all you
Yes, I
Terre
said
Hautians.
that, Daniel.
That's how you Terre Hautians express that. All right. Here's a
That's
question.
correct.
Um, could the alien? This is from Dreamwalker. Could the alien abductions being done are really breakaway human civilizations masquerading as aliens?
Ooh. Are you talking about older civilization or a futuristic one? Older, possibly. Um, if you go back to the days of Noah, their intelligence was it far exceeded what we have.
Mhm.
So it's highly possible.
And this is another question, Kay Carswell of Deception Detection Radio, with Chad Riley. Um, if the aliens are so advanced, why do they keep needing to abduct humans, probe us, and who knows what they're doing with us? But you think whatever they're looking for or trying to do, they have been able to do it by now?
You would think so, but
Are they having trouble with their
you
tech
know,
department?
when you look at space, it's infinite. I mean, to us. So the places that these could be coming from is infinite. So if there's a different race out there on each planet or whatever is going on out there, that's a lot of different aliens.
Hmm.
So they may be coming through and all testing. They may not communicate any more
Hmm.
than we communicate really with them.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, yeah, uh, I think that would be it. There's just so many of them in the
Hmm.
probes. I do believe that sometimes the women are impregnated and then they take the babies. And I also believe that, again, on the food, they're testing people for food. They don't want contaminated food.
Wow. Okay. Well, I wouldn't want to eat contaminated food either. So you think they're looking for a particular taste?
It could be, or just to make sure that it's okay. No radiation, no
Hmm.
GMOs, you know.
Wait a minute
I mean,
now.
that's
Okay, so I got a pretty good GMO free diet. I Is that going to increase my chances of becoming a snack to the
look out,
reptilians?
Daniel. Uh, you
I
have to let me know if they do come and visit you.
Well, I definitely will, man. Because look, I don't want to be eating. Okay, I mean, I got a lot of living to do. Okay,
You and
and
me both.
well, you do too. So we have to guard ourselves, and that's always a question I've had, Kay. And I don't know if you've ever asked this on your program, but what are the what do you think is the pattern that they're looking for the abductee? And I don't know if we can say typical abductee, but because it seems like there's no system to it. It seems really random. But I mean, do they look for people that are maybe say open, or looking, or godless people, or strange people? I mean, is there any
Wow.
trigger that you think attracts them to to get them and
Well,
probe
one
the hell
thing
out
I
of them?
know is it's usually at night.
Hmm.
There's usually not a lot of people around.
Hmm. Okay, check.
In the case of Betty and Barney Hill, you ended up having Barney was absolutely terrified, and Betty was more on the inquisitive side.
Okay.
When you look at the Travis Walton incident,
Hmm.
Travis is the one that wanted to get out and was more inquisitive, and his friends left him.
Yeah.
Um, I
Well, that's
believe
interesting.
that if they abduct someone and they believe in God and they are spiritual, demonic, at the word saying Jesus or crying out to Jesus, those demons will disappear. Now, if they are extraterrestrial, that's not going to work.
Now that's very interesting you said that because I think I just learned this week. Do you know who Tim Alberino is?
Oh, yes, yes. I
Did
follow
I
him and
did I
Steve both.
did he just come out and I think he just kind of said that same thing, is that uh, and I've had so many people on this program that say using the name of Jesus uh, stops the abductions. But was it Tim that said that's because they're saying it before or after, and they're maybe not remembering in between? Is that what it said?
I think so. I'm trying to remember, but yeah, it was to that effect.
But I do know this, that I've had a significant number of people on this program over the years. As you know, this program has been going since 2004, that have
Hmm.
said, and I've always when they say that the name of Jesus makes the abduction stop, and I've always asked a follow-up question. Well, why doesn't using the name of Muhammad stop anything? It seems to me you use that name, and all kind of demons come your way. But so I mean, forever it was and I always thought that was a high point, that the name of Jesus would stop that. But now there may be evidence that it doesn't, or it does in some cases. Now there must be some variance that makes that difference, some variable that we don't know about.
Well, one thing, when you cry out to Jesus, you better have the faith that goes along with it. Number one. If you cry out to him but you don't believe in him, hang it up. And the ones that do cry out to Jesus and they do have the faith and it wouldn't work, those are the ones that you're dealing with that are from a different planet
Mm-hmm.
because they don't have to respect the name of Jesus. And the reason they don't respect, the name Muhammad is because Muhammad was a man
Mm.
and Jesus was considered the Son of God. So I believe that is where the difference is between the secular and the Christian, how we view it.
Mm-hmm.
So, if
Okay.
that makes sense.
It does. It does. Peter from Australia asked this question to you, Kay Carswell. Do you think that many celebrities are cloned? And of course, there's an awful lot of YouTube videos out there showing some video evidence that might be.
Okay, this gonna sound strange coming from me, but yeah, I do. Um, Chris Rock. I don't believe it's Chris Rock.
Mm-hmm.
He came back from Africa and looks totally different.
Mm.
Um, if you look at Putin, he looks different. There's quite a few of them. There's just little changes. And there's something with Hillary. Either she's got quite a few people that are doubles for her,
Mm-hmm.
but her looks change too much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, some days she looks like she's carrying a colostomy bag, and other days she's looking a little bit more fit. I mean, the
Hmm.
classic, and I brought this up in a program. The video evidence of that was when she collapsed at a 9/11 ceremony. She was thrown she's thrown in a van like a bag of potatoes. Then instead of taking her to a hospital, we're talking about a presidential candidate. They took her to her daughter, supposedly her daughter's apartment, where evidently they had makeup on standby crew there, and she come out looking 20 pounds fitter, and her hair was different. And it's like, wait a minute, what happened to the one they threw in the van? No, that was definitely did not look like Hillary Clinton. I would go clone come out of that building.
Well, that building that they took her to, I don't know if you're aware, but her daughter's place was actually a health clinic. It was
Mm-hmm.
an old health clinic
Mm-hmm.
that they had refurbished and turned it into a care clinic strictly for Hillary.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw those videos. When she came out, she was walking. She looked 20 years younger. Her skin looked
Mm-hmm.
good. She looked just so spry. Anyone that was that sick that they had to take for medical help would not come out looking like that. And she supposedly had pneumonia.
Mm.
That wasn't pneumonia.
Yeah. Now you talk about when she's coughing all the time.
Well, when she fainted, what was it? The 911 dedication. They were naming the names again and
Mm-hmm.
having the ceremony, and she was coughing, and then she fell in the crowd, and they took her to her daughter's apartment.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
something messed up about that. Now, do you think that it would be um, alien cloning them, or is basically some deep, dark, sinister, deep state bastard doing it?
I think it's the deep state,
Mm-hmm.
their own agenda, the elite.
Mm-hmm.
Only the elite have the ability to tap into that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But Chris Rock, even his sister said that that's not him.
Wow. So you would take the alien equation out of that.
I would.
All right. Let's get to another question here. Oh, by the way, yeah, I see somebody sent me a Chris Rock picture. There's two pictures of him, and it certainly looks like there's two different people there.
Yes, even the voice is different.
But now, what if they had some sort of a Botox or something like that?
The differences that I've seen don't look like Botox.
Okay. All right. This question here. Do you know anything about the hollow earth, and do you have any opinions about aliens coming from there?
Wow. Well, my buddy Chad and my buddies Justin and Westfall did the movie The Hollow Earth Chronicles, Dark Chambers, Volume 1. Excellent movie. I do believe in the hollow earth because the Bible, when you read it, to me, it speaks about the hollow earth. And yes, I believe aliens can come from there. Um, it's been seen that some of these spacecraft come from underneath the water out of the land, like underneath and from the water, but there's also land. Um, so, yeah, I do believe that there's a strong possibility that aliens are there. I mean, I believe in the Bible it says heaven and hell are both there, just in different places. So why wouldn't there be aliens? They're demonic. I mean, well, I shouldn't say that. They're either demonic or they're extraterrestrial.
Now,
What a great place to hide.
Well, I'm wondering if a demonic alien ever fought it out with an actual alien. Who'd win that battle?
Oh, the gods. Well, wait a minute. No, that'd be a demon and an alien. Wow.
Okay. Yeah. What about that?
Probably the demon because it would be spiritual. And what can they touch it with other than the name of God?
So that's interesting. So then, in the abduction case, you can actually determine if the name of Jesus stops it, you know it's demonic. If it keeps coming back for more, then it's probably a normal or a material alien.
Correct. And I would love to know, and I've never heard if Whitley Strieber ever called out to Jesus. I've never heard that. And I've often wondered if he did, because he still, I've heard, experiences abductions.
Okay, who do you think slid that flat Earth thing into the Christian community?
I believe it's in the Bible. Oh, flat Earth.
Flat Earth, not hollow
threw
Earth.
me on that one. That's usually one of the topics we avoid on deception detection, but I believe that the flat Earth is taking away from what we really need to know. So I would say probably atheists threw it out there to begin with. I'm not saying the people that believe in it are atheists, but it takes away from what we as Christians need to center on, and that's salvation. The flat Earth, whether it is flat or whether it's round, isn't going to save you to know it. Knowing God is.
Should a Christian be up to date on the alien phenomena and have answers ready for a inquisitive non-believer atheist type of person? Should they have that information, or should they just strictly keep to the traditional sort of Christian way of looking at things and the knowledge that they have?
They need to have it because God lets us know that we are going to be going against false Jesus, and we have to know. We have to be aware of everything that's out there. And if we're not, it can come along and deceive us. You know, if we're deceived, but with the knowledge of Christ, we're aware. And if we're deceived, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. And he wants us aware.
In the clones going back to the clone things, K Carswell. At one point, Miley Cyrus was apparently a decent little girl. Was she abducted and then cloned, and then they brought her back as that pornographic priestess of filth and rot?
I believe she could very well be a clone, but I believe that she was taken by the Illuminati and reprogrammed.
Sometimes those programs get cross-wired because they don't anticipate the variables within the human mind and psyche. I wonder if they ever do. Those type of people believe that there is a a spiritual component, or do they think it's completely organic?
You mean like what happened with her?
Yeah, or with anyone. Do they take into account that there is a spiritual component to a human rather than say, drug them, put thoughts in their mind with maybe some advanced technology, reprogram them, as you just said, create multiple personality. But do you think that they know that there is a spirit in there? Some have said on this program, talking about the alien abduction, that they seem to think that there might be a spiritual component to the humans, and they have a reason why why the aliens are wanting to look into that. But I'm talking about the Illuminati, the deep state, the reprogrammers. Do you think they know or are aware that there is a spiritual component to a human?
Oh, I believe so. I mean, if you look at Beyonce, if you believe in Satan, you've got to believe in God.
Mm-hmm.
And they pretty much have sold their souls to the devil, and they'll very easily admit it. They're not ashamed of it. Katy Perry is an excellent one that caught on video that she sold her soul. You look
Mm-hmm.
at different pictures of Beyonce, and she's sitting there talking to herself and rocking back and forth. They know there is a spiritual component.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, on the not the demonic alien, but the material alien, and we could discuss whether or not they're organic or they're a machine with some sort of bio-skinned situation. Do you think they have a spirit?
Well, if you ask the Pope, he'll tell you they do.
Well,
Um,
I always say poop on the Pope, and the reason is because I don't like him.
did, did you read that though when he said that it was okay? He truly believed that aliens should be allowed to be baptized.
I did see that. Was that for real?
It was for real. That was not funny news, fake news. He really did believe that and
Mm-hmm.
say it.
Mm-hmm.
And um, I don't think so. I don't think so.
So what's happening is, like the Democrats expanding their base of illegal immigrants coming across the border, Catholic priests want to expand their base and they want to get to the reptilian kids,
Oh,
or maybe the insectoid little boys, or I don't know if they have genders or not, but it seems to me they're just trying to get access too. They're just they're getting ready for that. They want part of that.
well, it makes you wonder.
Well, you have to wonder because
That
they're all.
telescope that they have, Lucifer,
Mhm.
and that is ran by the Catholic Church. And Tom Horn and Chris Putnam did an excellent uh, documentary on that. But they're not looking for, stars and this and that. They were asked, and they see spacecraft more than anything. They believe in aliens.
Have you seen a UFO? Okay, you said earlier that you saw some activity. Would you say those were UFOs?
I would. And when I was younger, my great aunt got me really involved in understanding the supernatural and the paranormal. And I'm not
Mm-hmm.
talking about dabbling in things with the devil. It wasn't anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we would sit out. And I remember at the age of the 4 years old, my dad had me in his arms, and we'd got home from somewhere, and there was something up in the sky that didn't look right. And had my mom go and get binoculars, and it
Mm-hmm.
was a UFO. And I saw some in the same place growing up. And then one night at middle of the night, there were these three dancing balls that were huge. And I had a straight shot out of my bedroom window, and I could see for about maybe 3 or 4 miles, maybe 5, and they were dancing, it looked like, around the radio tower. They're attracted to electricity,
Ooh.
and they were huge. I thought at first it could be ball lightning, and
Mm-hmm.
then I thought, well, that doesn't make any sense. It didn't scare me, but at that time we didn't have cameras on phones.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have the little phones, so I never was able to get a photo. But yeah, my great aunt, well, my dad too, really got me fascinated with
Mm-hmm.
it.
Did you say you're in Fort Wayne?
I am.
Is Donald Trump coming there?
I don't know. Now that I haven't heard.
Thought he was. Well, I have to look that one up, man. He's doing this amazing. I don't know how many he's doing. Couple a day till election day. And I tell you what, as a fellow Hoosier, I got to say I'm about sick of the political ads between Donnelly and Mike Braun. It's just I'm thinking, man, if you watch the ads, you're thinking, man, these are two of the worst individuals in the history of mankind. Maybe we should get somebody else in there, man.
Why in the world? I mean, this is something I was talking with my girlfriend about because I'm sick of the commercials.
Every day, President.
And I told her, I said, why don't they talk like they used to about what they stand for and what they'll do?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, they won't say what they'll do because then when they get in office and don't do it, you can't call them a liar.
Mm-hmm.
So they're blaming the other person for where their faults are, and they're supposed to look really good then.
Mm-hmm. Well, for those who don't know, we had a debate between Donnelly, the Democrat, Braun, the Republican, and then another lady who's the independent. And in that debate, the independent lady, all she kept saying was, "We got to make hemp legal. We got to have hemp parties." And they say, "What do you think? What do you think about the illegal immigration?" Well, if we just had a lot more hemp plants, I mean, every question was to that. So here we go. We got two of the evilest people in the world, and the third person wants hemp. I'm thinking, who's left, man? Can we get But you're talking about being deceived. The Bible says that in the end time people will be deceived, and we played a tape in the Randy Points of the actual intent of the deception of the Gillum campaign in Florida. But I got to say they're all like that. I mean, you can keep your doctor. That lie went out 28 times, man. And it was going on and on and on, the lies that are told to the people. So when they come out and say there's no aliens, I'm going to have to do my own research. I can't believe anything that comes through any mainstream source. And so, I would say immediately, whatever comes through the news feed, believe the opposite. That's the place to start. And then you can work your way back if it's true what they say. But don't start with them saying that's the truth and see if there's anybody that disagrees. You got to just know automatically you're being programmed and they're all in on it.
That's it. Just as a pedophile will groom a child, the news media, the government, they groom us. And it's an everyday process. And Chad and I tell everyone that listens to us, don't take our word for it. Investigate it yourself. And that's the only way that you are going to get the truth.
Yeah. And they have that. They have the ability. The internet is a two-edged sword. I mean, surely with all the they say the internet. The two main things on the internet is porn and cat videos. But down the line is truth. You have to go looking for it, and it is out there. But more and more people's. People that are seeking the truth, websites are being messed with by the system and their Twitter accounts and their Facebook accounts. If you start telling the truth and you don't know what that truth is, I mean, for instance, we were having Laura Maxwell back on the program. She said a bunch of her videos were banned or just dropped or erased, and I'm thinking, well, now what? She's kind of like a spiritual person. Why are they going after that? You don't know what you're saying is the trigger for the controllers that are out there trying to warp people's opinions and delete the truth. So yeah, you're right. We do have to do our own research.
Yeah, I've got a couple friends that they had over 1,000 videos and they were totally wiped out.
Did they have any warning?
No, none. They just went in and wiped them out, and they went to get on, and there's nothing there.
There's this one site, and I don't know which one it was. I don't even know what they're about, but I think it might have been a Christian site, but I think it's called Life Something. And their host provider, that is the company that holds your content. When you upload your content, it goes to the host. And they gave that company or organization 12 hours to get their stuff off their server. They were going to delete it. And they said, you may even not get 12 hours. We may just delete you automatically. So you just get out of here. And, their website was about, I think, abortion alternatives, try to save a baby or something like that. But they were instantly just told to get out, and so it's vicious out there, Kay. And man, I'll tell you what, they got this thing going in China about this social credits. Are you aware of that?
No, I'm not.
This is insane, and this is crazy beyond government. It's 1984 times 100. They are they're trying to put their entire population into what's called social credit scores, and you have to behave a certain way online or even in public. And if somebody reports you, your social score will go down. And when your social score goes down, then your ability to get a job goes down. Your mortgage rate for what loan you apply for goes up.
I have heard of that.
I just saw one. A guy was on a bullet train. The world has been rebuilding itself, particularly China has rebuilt itself with our dollars. Okay, let's put it that way. The Middle East has been rebuilding itself with our petrodollars. We've been sending all this money over there because of Obama type of trade deals. But so in this high-speed bullet train in China, a guy had a cell phone on, and a message came on. He recorded it, and it said, if you get out of line on this train, your social score will go down, and you must behave and adhere to all the rules. And then I heard another one said that if your dog takes a dump somewhere and you don't clean it up, your social score goes down. If somebody reports you, your social or if you get caught, your social score is going down. And they expect to have their entire population in that social score grading system by 2020.
Oh my. Well, I had heard of that, and there's even a movie out about that.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't take anything to end up having if the social score dropped below 4, I believe, or 5, it was bad.
Mm-hmm.
And people wouldn't even want to talk to the other people.
Yeah, it's like I seen that. That's I saw that on Netflix, and that's exactly what it is. And other places in the world, it's slower to take effect in America, but eventually that stuff's going to try to get here. Just like the rampant violence in Europe. The kind of rampant violence we're going to have, I believe, is going to be coming from these MS-13 gangs coming from South America. So it's going to be, if we don't get a hold of that, Kay, our cities may start to look like European cities. We certainly don't want that. Well, Kay, we're at the end of the broadcast. Been a great pleasure talking to you, Kay Carswell of Deception Detection Radio. Tell the folks how they can hear your broadcast with Chad Riley.
You can tune in to Spreaker.com. Just type in Deception Detection Radio. You can also hear us on YouTube and anywhere else that plays podcasts. If you tune into iTunes and type our name in, you will get an entire archive of our broadcasts plus the other ones on our network. And Daniel, it has been an absolute joy to be on here with you. Thank you so much for letting me come on.
No problem, Kay. Can we have you on again sometime?
I would love to come back.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on, Kay, and stay safe out there. All right.
God bless you, Daniel.
All right. You too. Bye-bye.